What's your story? Hey, what's happening, my friends? Jason Woodland back again with Always the Journey TV. Thank you very much for joining us. We are on episode number 65. So out here representing the community and getting all kinds of really cool people on the show. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. It would mean the world to me. I've got the button in one of the corners, as you see there. And also, if you enjoy the content, please throw us a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, throw those questions down in the comments, or throw up some little flames to show how much you like the content. But anyway, again, thank you so much for joining us. The reason for this TV show or YouTube show, whatever you want to call it, is to spotlight amazing people out here in the community doing great things. We talk to business owners and musicians and artists, side hustlers, even people that have jobs that are just passionate about what they do. That's the whole thing here, is just spotlighting people. Today, I'm extremely excited about introducing to you my dear friend Dusk Raps, who's born and raised here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Dusk has always been obsessed with music and art, and he is an absolutely amazing artist. And as we start this up, we're going to be showing some of his art during this interview as well. So I'm excited about that. He was introduced to our city's subculture by way of skateboarding and the friends that he made while doing so. Dusk is a talented mixer, media artist, and rapper. He has also done amazing work in the beat making, mural painting, DJing, and also is a big-time record collector. So, I mean, he's done all kinds of stuff. He is a wildly talented artist, and I know you've seen his work out there in the community. He has also thrown a plethora of shows, and any other way he can get involved in music and art, he is all about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce my friend Dusk Raps. What's up, my man?
What's up?
Rocking and rolling, dude. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, dude? You having a good day overall?
Yeah, so far so good, man. Just chilling.
Nice. I like it. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. It's definitely a pleasure having you.
Absolutely. Glad to do it, man.
Awesome. Hey, so first of all, I want to learn a little bit more about your history. And of course, you and I have had conversation, but for the viewers of this show, where does Dusk come from? Like, where did you grow up? What was your youth like? What schools did you go to?
Let's see. I lived in Sugar House till I was about 4. And then we moved from Sugar House to West Valley, and that's pretty much where I grew up. I went to Hunter Junior and Hunter High School. A regular childhood. I have 3 brothers, 1 older, 2 younger. Into skateboarding and I don't know, art and whatever. Just pretty regular upbringing, I guess.
Nice. What would you say were some of your early inspirations that got you involved in the skateboard community all to begin with?
You know, I was thinking about that, and I can't remember one particular instance, but I think probably just seeing older guys in my neighborhood skateboarding, you know, and it just seemed like a cool thing to do. I kind of didn't really like sports or anything like that. Like, wasn't, you know, I mean, whatever video games were around at the time, I wasn't really into that. But that was something that seemed cool. Like, you could just go do it by yourself and you didn't really need anything other than a skateboard and a parking lot to go do it. So I think it was just kind of interesting to me that way.
Nice. Do you remember what one of your favorite decks were when you were growing up?
You know what? The first kind of like good deck that I had was what's his name? Nicky Guerrero. It was a Pal Peralta. It had like this kind of cool kind of tiki mask on the bottom of it. That one was one of my favorites, maybe just because it was like the first real, you know, like kind of professional skateboard that I had. But I mean, I have tons of skateboards that as far as like the graphics side, like that's actually was like a big influence for me to get into art, was seeing the skate graphics from like the late 80s and the early 90s were like real impactful to me even now, you know.
Yeah,
That was
definitely.
like sort of a classic era for artwork on skateboards.
I completely agree. I actually still have let's see, I've got a Santa Monica Airlines, and then I still have my Santa Cruz Corey O'Brien deck.
Ooh, the one with the Grim Reaper and the Fireball.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's,
Yes,
I
that's
mean, that one
classic.
is a slight bit beat up, but it's still in pretty good condition. Like you can still perfectly see the artwork and everything. I'm stoked that I still have those. Pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
that I always love those graphics, like the nice, like crazy. You know, they always had like some like wild color schemes, and like a nice heavy black outline on it. You know,
Yep.
just to make things jump.
Yeah, they were like ultra bold, definitely. So would you say that that was like one of your original sort of inspirations to then sort of transition into the art scene?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that I mean, I drew like a kid. You know, as a kid, kind of like everybody does. But like when I started to like really figure out that that was sort of my thing, that was some of the first stuff that I was drawing. Was just trying to like redraw, kind of whatever graphics I was seeing, or even just similar kind of imagery. You know, I always like drawing skulls and swords and like weird faces and stuff like that. Like even as a kid, they're probably like super old, like elementary school drawings of mine that were like kind of similar to the stuff that I draw now.
Yeah. So I mean, you also grew up in music. So what
Mhm.
music scenes did you grow up in? Tell us a little bit more about that and what got you interested in that type of music.
Um, well, ever since I can remember, I always just loved music. You know, like I had a radio that was just like a little boombox with a tape player on it, whatever. And so I was always just like really into music, like listen to music on on all the like the top 40 countdowns, or whatever, and sit and record the tapes. And then when we get older and start to kind of like find more music that was better, that was like uh, you know, discovered KRCL and finally they have a rap show. Me and my brother would stay up Friday nights and sit there and like both each have our radio set up when we record tapes off of that and whatever. But basically, like the main scene that I kind of came up in music wise was the hip hop scene, and there was a kind of a handful of people that each had a kind of an important hand in exposing me to that. But once I saw, I don't know, I didn't have a concept of it until I saw it. I didn't really think of like, oh yeah, there's like an underground scene and dudes that are, my age or a little older are already doing all this stuff. They're already rapping. These guys already have turntables and making beats, like all that stuff. I didn't really think of that. But once I discovered that, I like that it was sort of over at that point. Like that was just, I just knew like, I wasn't any good at any of that stuff, and it would be years before I was even decent at any of it. But like, I don't know, just as soon as I saw it being done by people from here, like that was it for me. Like um, that was the main thing. But also around the same time, we started to get exposed to, uh, other music scenes, seeing like a little bit of like the punk scene or like the hardcore scene, or I don't know, just whatever, just live music in general that was being played by people our age, like teenage, basically.
Yep, exactly. What were some of the let's say earlier hip hop groups that you were into that inspired you to get involved in hip hop yourself?
Oh man, probably the first person that I knew around here that I met through my buddy Mike. It was this guy Adverse. Um, he was like the first person that I met that was cool to me. That was just like, he was just always good. But Adverse, the Numbs, uh, who else? Now I'm drawing a blank. eBay. eBay was another one. Um, I don't know, man. There's so many. Concise.
Yep.
Um, who else? I don't know, man. There's so many. I hate to like leave anybody out just because I sometimes draw a blank, but like some of those guys, Focus was another one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I know there's so many that I'm just spacing right now because I'm trying to come up with the top of my head. But like there was,
Oh,
and
good.
everybody was so good too. Like even at that early point, they seemed like to me like fully formed artists, you know, and I don't know. It was like almost I spent a lot of time just being a fan because when I was exposed to it, those guys were already so good. It already seemed like so untouchable that even though I kind of had this interest, it was kind of like it just seemed like so far out of reach, you know. So I spent a lot of time just watching, you know, watching all those guys.
Yeah, there's definitely some amazing talent that has come out of Salt Lake and
Right.
keeps coming out of Salt Lake. That's the thing that's so amazing. And you know, we've had these conversations with other guests on the show about the talent pool that exists not only in just Salt Lake but in across the entire Wasatch Front. I mean,
Right.
you've got, I mean, everything from DJs and rappers and graffiti artists, and I mean, you've got such a huge talent pool here. It's quite amazing. It's, I think that we're lucky to be in an area where there's just so much creativity.
Agreed. You know, like in my travels of doing music and art and whatnot, especially like when I first started to like get chances to go out of town and do my thing, you know, I would go to a larger city, and this is no knock on anybody, but like I would go to larger cities and I would expect to be like blown away by this super high level of talent, and not that there wasn't, but it doesn't matter where you're from, you know what I mean? Like there really was just like a high level of talent here, you know, like, and it was really cool to see just if nothing else, just to be like, all right, yeah, like, you know what, these guys here are cool, but back home we're like, it's just as good, if not better,
Hmm.
you know,
Exactly.
like they were cool. And on all fronts, you know, I mean, there's so many people here that are so talented. It's insane.
Yeah, without a doubt. So you, I mean, you and I had a lot of like crossing paths and so forth, and we both grew up in the hip hop scene and also like the hardcore and the punk rock, and you know, there's a lot of these, and those scenes really had a lot of crossover anyway back in the 80s and 90s. You know, you had a lot of people that were going to different things. What as far as like let's say larger level hip hop artists outside of the state, you know, the KRS ones, the Gurus, etc. Who would you find on a national level were some of your inspirations?
Um, oh man, to begin with, I think early some of the some of the first stuff that I got into was like Big Daddy Kane. Uh, there was an album of LL Cool J, actually, Bigger and Deffer.
Yep.
Uh, and when I was in probably third or fourth grade, this kid that was in my class, I don't even know why, but he just came in and he took this LL Cool J tape out of his dad's car, and he just came in and just gave it to me like randomly. You know, we were like friends, but like not even like best friends or anything. But he was just like, "Here, man." And so I was in like third or fourth grade, and I remember listening to that, and I was just like, "Oh man!" Like it was just so good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's something that I still listen to like regularly.
Yeah.
But that one, uh, um, we would go like get tapes like from the library,
Hmm.
and there was these compilations that were put out by Profile Records called Rap Masters,
Oh yeah.
and so those ones were cool because it was a compilation, so we got to hear a little bit of everything. So it would be like this kind of weird mix of old school rap. It would have like early East Coast stuff um, like EPMD or Juice Crew stuff, but then they would be like mix in like which I would find later would be like early Southern rap, like bounce music and stuff like that. Like there's a real famous song called Trigger Man. Um, that the name of the group that made it is escaping me right now, but it's like been sampled to death. Like if you heard it, if you're not familiar with it, like you've heard it sampled in a million beats. Um, gosh, I don't know what else. Beastie Boys, Wu-Tang, the Beatnuts. I don't know, tons of stuff. Once I discovered it, I just tried to listen to everything, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did the same thing, man. So when I was living in West Valley, my sister and my mom and I, this was I think maybe like 85 through 89 possibly.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing, man. We'd cruise over to the library over by Valley Fair Mall, and I
Right.
would just get like stacks of stuff, like the Follow the Leader tape from Eric B. and Rakim, like
Yeah.
just like all this stuff. And I would just sit on my front doorstep with my little like ghetto blaster, and
Right.
that's how we rolled. You know, I mean, we were just like stack it, and then the Ice-T Power tape came out,
Oh
and I
yeah.
was completely mind blown. And same thing, we'd walk to school with a ghetto blaster. That's
Right.
probably not the proper terminology for it anymore, but that's what we called it
Eh,
back in the 80s.
same. Right.
You know what I mean? And we'd listen to that at recess. Like we'd be listening to Power and that song Radio Suckers and I'm your pusher, you know, the song that was like anti-drug, but unless you listen to the lyrics, you didn't get it. And I got it like immediately. I'm like, Ice-T is anti-drug, you know? And so that's what started my path of like
Right.
anti-drug ever since I was little. But man, those days were good, man. There's like so many good things. So that's awesome that we had some of those sort of parallels as well.
Yeah, we used to. They had this thing called the bookmobile that would actually pull up on my street, and it was like, I don't know if there wasn't a library that was close enough at the time. This is like in the 80s or whatever. But anyway, they would pull up like in front of my house or in front of like, you know, like a couple houses down. And we would go on there and just check out as many things as they would let us take. And like, I mean, there wasn't really anything too crazy in that music, but like some of it, I was like, wow, like we're in elementary school and this lady's just letting us get like all this gangster rap and like Eddie Murphy, you know, it would be like his stand up or like Richard Pryor tapes. And we're like in fourth grade.
That's awesome.
But it was cool though. It was just like to be able to, I don't know. It was just like this window into this whole other world. You know, I didn't, even if we didn't like understand like all the slang and all that stuff, but it, whatever they talk about, but it just sounded so cool. I didn't have any um, ideas about anything or like whatever. It was just something that, you know, as a kid just grabbed me, you know?
Yep.
So I think that's going back to your earlier question. I think that's why when I discovered that there was a local hip hop scene that I was just like so captivated by it, is just because I could, you know, like a lot of people when they find kind of like their music like in high school or something like that. And I would just luck of the draw, not because of anything special about me, but just luck of the draw. I found my music like real young and was just obsessed with it. You know, I just the same thing. I took my radio everywhere that I could take it till the batteries would die, and then whatever. We used to like memorize all the songs and like rap to each other like at recess and like all that kind of stuff. So it was cool, man. I'm glad that however it was that I discovered it. I'm glad that I did.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. So along those lines, then what year or when was it that you really figured that I want to start rapping myself,
Mm-hmm.
and also I want to become really serious about my art? Like when did that take place?
Um, well, I went through I probably a few different levels of that, but I think by the time I was a senior in high school, which would be like 95, 96, that's when I at least, you know, and again, it would be a long time before I was any good at any of that stuff, but that's when I was just like, all right, like these are things that I'm interested in. And like, I really don't care about anything else. You know, I didn't have any other hobbies. I didn't, you know, I would never claim to be like, you know, generally a well-rounded person or anything. I know the things that I like and I just stay real focused on those things. So probably like senior year of high school, I kind of knew that like that at least for the foreseeable future at that point, those were things that I wanted to focus on. And I mean, I didn't know at the time that like 20 something years later, I would still be participating in all of that stuff, and I had no idea really that it would be such a big part of my life. But yeah, back then was probably where that was, my fate was sealed as far as that went.
Nice. Well, what I'd like to do here is actually share some of your artwork. So what I'm going to do is just pull up Instagram, so our viewers can take a look at some of the stuff that you've done. I mean, like I said in the beginning, you're an extremely talented artist, and yeah, you're welcome. And your art can be seen all over the place. I mean, you've been in gallery shows, you've represented at all kinds of different art shows and urban arts festival and all that kind of stuff. Can you tell us a little bit more about like the different places that you've been featured at, or that you've been able to show off your work in?
Yeah. So lately, the stuff that I've been doing where it's been out for people to see has been, like at some of the art festivals and things like that, or just various other events. Now that it's getting closer to be like, spring and summer, a lot more like the outdoor live painting type of situations come up. My buddy Josh Sherman actually has been hooking up a lot of that stuff. Shout out to him. And also Josh over at 1520 Arts. He's been real cool about always kind of keeping me in mind for that kind of stuff. So I painted actually at the Herc. I've done some gallery shows, just like solo shows and group shows. I make stuff all the time, so I usually have something new almost every day for Instagram. Gosh, what else? I don't know, anything, like album covers, song artwork, t-shirt designs, yeah, all kinds of stuff. Just whatever comes up, like I try to stay busy. And just do whatever's next.
Well, the thing that's amazing about you is that you've stayed very prolific in your creativity, and you've like turned up the volume like crazy over this last like year or two or so. I mean, you're like, I mean, you're working like a madman, which I love, and I know that the community is like extremely excited to just see this level of creativity in the artwork that you're putting out on social media. So here's a question. If someone wanted to buy a piece of artwork from you, can they do, I know they can, but can they do so, just so my listeners can know? And is this the best place they can reach out to you to buy something?
Yeah. That Instagram is sort of like my main hub. That's probably like the best way to see what I'm up to. Anything that I have that's available for purchase, one way or another, would be available through Instagram. So a lot of the artwork that I make, I add to an online store, which can be accessed by a link on my Instagram profile. I don't post everything in there, but basically everything that I make is available for purchase. I like to make it more than I like to hang on to it. So if it strikes somebody's curiosity or they want it or whatever, then they just need if it's not available in my store, they can just shoot me a message and I can let them know if it's available for purchase. And then we work out a price and all that.
Nice. Okay. So then here's my follow-up question then. Do you do commissions?
Yes and no. So I do commissions from time to time, but it kind of, over the years, I've kind of trimmed down how much I do that, just because I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to do, as focused as I am on my style. Sometimes it's hard for me to make somebody else's idea come to life. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I think people will come to me just because I'm somebody that they know that does art, rather than, and it might not be, I don't know, sometimes I might not be the best person for the job. But that said, though, if it's something that I think that I am the, you know, if we figure out that I am the person for the job, then hell yes, I love doing commissions when I'm the right person for it.
Nice.
So that's another thing we can discuss in the DM. So if anybody's got something that they think they might want me to do artwork for, and you know, we can figure out if I'm the right fit for it. So just shoot me a message.
Nice, that's cool. And then also, as far as like as far as music goes, how can people find your music if they want to hear what you've produced on that side of things?
Kind of the same way. I'm on all the streaming platforms that you could think of. That can also be accessed by the link on my profile on Instagram, or if you just look me up, you know, anywhere, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, Pandora, Amazon Music, Bandcamp, SoundCloud, you name it. I should be everywhere.
Nice. Yeah, so I'm always like trying to really narrow down as well, like if someone watches this video and they're like, I want to work with this person that Jason interviewed, always trying to make sure that the connection is right, you know, with Instagram and so forth.
Right.
But also as far as the art goes, if someone said, hey, I want to commission you for something to do with my business, but you can have your own sort of like, here's sort of an idea. You run with it. Can you do something along those lines if someone was like, hey, I want to do something sort of artistic for our business, like maybe a 5K t-shirt or something, right, but you had sort of creative control around the message. Is that something you could do?
Yeah, for sure. I guess that's sort of what I was trying to say, was that if I can kind of do my thing with it, like if me doing my thing is a good fit for the job, then yeah, I'll do those all day. It's just sometimes, I mean, sometimes I like to challenge myself and go outside of what I do, but you know, and I can do other styles of art. I like what people see me put out is that's the thing that I like to do.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the deal with that. But yeah, anything, if I've got creative control, if they want to just see enough of my stuff and just trust me to do my thing, then those are the commissions that I love. And I always say yes to those ones.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's what I wanted to try to identify, just in case someone was like, hey, I liked, you know, what I saw in the video.
Right.
I mean, cause you're a multi-talented person, and you've got a specific style that when you see Dusk style, like you immediately know it's you. Like no matter where it is, like it doesn't even need to be signed. If people know you, they know your style, and it's really unique and it's really cool. So
thank you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So as far as let's say geographic locations, do you ship your artwork all around? Is that something you can do, or okay? Yeah,
anywhere. Typically, I do free shipping in the United States, and then outside of that, then the customer would have to pay for that. But I always try to find kind of the most cost-effective way to do that for international orders.
Nice. So what is it that you're currently working on, and where are we seeing Dusk go in the future?
Right now, so as always, there's always kind of a steady flow of just kind of personal artwork that I make every day. That is kind of happening in the form of kind of like mixed media illustrations right now. So I kind of just try to use as many things as I can as possible in the drawing. So that, you know, markers, ink, paint markers, spray paint, collage, watercolor, you name it, whatever, just in one illustration. So when my aim with it is to kind of, when somebody looks at it, they can't quite pin down how it was made. So it's kind of like a multi-layered, multi-textured kind of a thing. So that's kind of what I've been working on in the artwork end of things. But I've also been kind of in the beginning process still, about the last year, of kind of working on another project or a brand, if you want to call it that. called Camo Towers, and that's sort of like a new outlet for me to kind of, where I don't personally have to be the face of it. It's a way for me to kind of share my other interests and ideas and things like that. And just, once you kind of do art and have this output under sort of like the identity of Dusk Raps, it's like, as much as I love doing that, I wanted to start doing other things that were, at least to me, it just made more sense to kind of put it under a different umbrella. And so I've been doing that and been making mixes and playlists and kind of teaching myself more like graphic design and things like that, and making kind of different merch. I mean, I've done some like coffee mugs, which I've done before, but just some new designs, some like a little line of pocket knives that I was like, I love pocket knives, so that was kind of cool to make. I worked on a few other things, like more, like I have t-shirts in the works as well, but just trying to like branch out a little bit from that and just see what kind of stuff I can make that's maybe a little bit out of the ordinary. And then on the music front, I've mainly been focusing on DJing. Actually, I'm still very new to that, and again, that's something I'm not good at, but I'm working on it. And that kind of came from a couple of things that was sort of part of the Camo Towers thing. But over the years, I've kind of dabbled in making beats. And so, when I first got into that, I kind of just bought like, I knew a little bit about records, but mainly I was buying just kind of dollar bin junk, and finding cool loops on it and stuff like that. And then over the years, I started to get a little more knowledgeable on that. So I started getting a little more into collecting records. And so anyway, I got a chance recently to do my first DJ gig, doing a little set opening up for Blockhead at Urban Lounge a couple months ago. And then I've actually got something else coming up with DJ Juggy. Shout out to him. And I think Brisk is going to be there that night.
Nice.
I can't remember the name of the spot that we're doing it at. But it's June 2nd. And that's going to be cool. So anyway, I'm just kind of like pushing myself, to get familiar with something that I've had an interest in that, but I've had all these other things kind of front and center. So I've had these turntables now for a few years, and I would kind of like find time to mess around with them here and there, but I just have my hand in so many other things that I never really spent a good amount of time on it. And actually during COVID, as I'm just sitting at home with nothing else to do, and I started messing around with my turntables more and like, going through my records more and stuff like that. And so that kind of got the ball rolling on that. So that's something that, as I increase my skill level, I'd like to do more with that too. So
nice.
That's sort of what I got going on right now.
Nice, man. I'm excited to see what the future holds. And I'm definitely a lucky owner of a few pieces of your artwork, as well as one of your mugs, as well as your pocket knife. And I'm bummed I forgot to grab your mug. I was going to do it and have some of my sparkling water in it, and I was going to drink it, just just like nonchalantly. So you're like, oh wait.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's so. Yeah. So, definitely, to my listeners, check out his artwork. He's got some amazing stuff. Follow him on Instagram and check out a link on there so you can check out his music and all of his art and so forth. Very talented local artist here in Utah. So as we sort of move to a wrap up, I always like to ask this question, and this might be the toughest question for you. What is one of your favorite songs? Or favorite quotes, or both?
Oh, favorite song, man. That is a tough one. Like favorite song ever?
Well, or just one of them. That'll work.
One of them. You know what? Gosh, I don't know. I'm just cycling through this endless list of songs. Let me think about that for a second. I think my favorite quote.
Sometimes I let my interviewees know that I'm going to ask the question, and sometimes I don't.
Let me think. Actually, you know what? I think probably one of my all-time favorite songs is "These Arms of Mine" by Otis Redding.
Cool.
He's probably, I mean, I love rap and all that, but like I'm a huge fan of soul music, and to me, is probably the best soul singer there ever was, and that's one of the first songs of his that kind of locked me in, and it was the song that kind of gave him his career, as a matter of fact. But it's just, I think it's just a great song. It's like oldies and soul music.
That's awesome.
And the quote, oh damn, I don't know. I have one that's kind of on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it.
That's cool.
Well,
I
don't know. I can't think of one, man.
I appreciate your thoughts on all that. Is there anything else about Dusk that we need to know that that I've missed asking about?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't think so. We covered a lot.
Yeah, we did cover a lot, and I'm sure there's probably a lot more, but
right.
you know, there's always so many different things, especially when it comes to artistic minds like you, where you've got just so many different layers of, you know, the rap and the, you know, hip hop and skateboarding and artwork and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll just ask this: what is your favorite medium for art?
Oh man, you know what? I think probably my favorite thing is just like a black and white drawing. You know, like you could just do it anywhere, just like with the Sharpie or like you know, like micron kind of like drawing pen and just paper. That's, to me, is, there's nothing better. It's just like just sketching black and white.
Nice. Cool, man. Well, definitely this has been a sincere pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dude. Do you have any other questions or anything at this moment in time, or anything else you'd like to say?
No, just shout out to you for taking the time to do this and for the invitation, and just saying thank you for your input on things. There's been a couple times we've gone and met up and had great conversations. I just appreciate your take on things, and I appreciate you know, just your history in all of these scenes, and you know, the cool trajectory that you've had from being like wild, crazy, you know, graph writing hardcore guy to, you know, still sticking with your roots, but then moving on and making all those moves in the business world and things like that. It's very inspiring to see.
Thanks, brother. I sincerely appreciate that.
No doubt.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put you in the green room for just a couple of moments while I wrap up the show, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, brother. Talk to you in just one sec.
All right.
All right. There you go. Dusk Raps in the place to be. Make sure you follow him on Instagram and buy his artwork. He's got some phenomenal stuff. I should have actually had some stuff posted just directly behind here. I've actually got it posted throughout my house. But anyway, he's an awesome guy. Get to know him, get to learn his music and so forth. Anyway, we are out of here at interview number 65 of Always the Journey TV. Thank you so much for joining us. Please subscribe to the channel wherever and throw us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content. And other than that, I sincerely wish you a wonderful rest of your week. And here is the outro. Peace.